Greetings, Tezos Nation. Welcome to another edition of TezTalks Live. I'm Stu from the Tezos Commons. Joining me today is Simon McLoughlin, mobile lead at Kukai. Kukai, for those who might not know, is the open source secure home for your digital assets on the Tezos blockchain. On today's stream, we'll be giving away 25 Tez to one of our lucky viewers. If you'd like that lucky viewer to be you, keep an ear out for our keyword later on during this stream. Then comment with the keyword below this video where it's posted by the @TezosCommons account on X. Hi, Simon. Where are
Hi.
you right now, and how's the weather?
I'm in Dublin, Ireland, and the weather could be described as warm rain.
Okay, not too
As
bad then.
always.
Better than cold rain, right?
It is better, but not much.
To get the ball rolling, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your personal journey into the exciting world of blockchain technology?
Sure. My Twitter bio probably sums it up best. iOS developer, gaming fanatic, and professional nerd. I've been a software engineer for about 13, 14 years. The majority of that has been iOS development, but I've also done a fair bit of server-side, web and Angular, cloud, database, all kinds of stuff. I've worked for small startup companies that have been building their own kind of hardware devices that needed iOS apps to set it up and integrate. I've worked for big companies like IBM on massive projects that have been funded by the EU. Worked for Walmart and Jet.com as a technical team lead. I've worked on healthcare, AI, projects connected to self-driving cars, stuff to do with new regulations from government, social media, chatbots, everything in between.
A real mixed bag.
Oh yeah, everything. I love technical challenges, and anytime I have an opportunity to try something new, I always jump at it. That's kind of what happened with blockchain. So IBM has these internal kind of like TED Talks. At lunchtime every week or every month, someone would talk about this new exciting thing they were working on. IBM at one point had its own blockchain technology, and for a good solid 3 months, every one of these talks were about blockchain. So I learned quite a lot about it, was very interested about it. They had a lot of samples of the types of projects they were trying to work on and ideas for things that blockchain could solve. That was all really interesting. Years later, let's keep it polite, I had a couple of bad experiences in the corporate world. I decided I wanted to kind of go a bit more out on my own, freelance, contract, registered as self-employed, to kind of take control of what I was doing a little bit more. Had a look on Stack Overflow jobs, saw this tiny little company called Camelcase that was looking for an iOS developer. Had a look at what the hell this thing called Tezos was. Read a lot about it, really interested about it, really excited. Reminded me of all the stuff I'd seen in IBM and was really keen to get going. Interviewed, and here I am, been bouncing around the ecosystem ever since.
All right, and that journey, of course, has led you to becoming mobile lead at Kukai, as I mentioned already, and one of the driving forces behind the Kukai phone app. But before we dive into the app, I very briefly introed Kukai off the top there. But how do you describe Kukai to those who ask you about it?
Kukai is a crypto wallet. Currently, at the minute, the only kind of production way to use it is via the web wallet. Exactly my role here is to try change that. I'm working on the iOS app, which is currently in beta. We hope to have an Android app in the near future. You get to store your crypto, manage your NFTs, integrate with the whole wild world of crypto and Tezos.
Okay. So I know you mentioned being excited by the concepts around Tezos and having it remind you of the things that you had been hearing about blockchain at IBM. But what was it about Tezos and its ecosystem in particular that made them appealing for you?
So when I saw the job opening, I started exploring Tezos, and I had seen all these complaints about hard forks and Tezos trying to push to solve that problem. At this stage, I'd been developing production software for years. I've taken down my fair share of databases. I've broken apps. I've had coding mistakes published in books. I'm fully aware of the need to be able to update code and how critical and important that is. When I saw Tezos was highlighting this as an issue and trying to solve this problem and pushing for it, I got really interested in that. It sounded like it was going to be more future-proof than all the other chains, and I was really excited to see more about that and play around with it and see how it delivers.
Makes sense. So Kukai's roots trace back to the very earliest days of the Tezos ecosystem. Can you walk us through Kukai's origin story a bit as you understand it?
Sure. Kukai predates me quite a bit, so I'm not the best to talk about this, but in a rough sense, Kukai was one of the first wallets in the ecosystem. It was started by Klaas, who's the lead engineer and the founder of Kukai. He comes from a security background. He was very interested in Kukai's open source nature, and he wanted to explore it. He built this app first with a strong emphasis on security and reliability. It became well known then for being reliable and security. There was a few issues I remember that Kukai didn't suffer from that others did. That ultimately led to Tezos Commons getting involved and giving them some support, which then later on led to direct funding from the foundation, which led it to expand, and here we are.
And here we are. And obviously, there have been significant changes in the larger blockchain space here in the Tezos ecosystem and for Kukai itself since then. How would you describe Kukai's progress over the 6-ish years since it was originally launched?
Sure. Kukai has changed massively. The current version that we have now that you see is version 2, which is a complete overhaul, rebuilt from the ground up of V1. Kukai has always tried to work closely with the ecosystem teams, and that's paid off for us quite a bit. We've leveraged indexers, RPCs from the core teams, APIs from teams building DApps, teams working on new standards. We always try to work closely with these teams to make sure that what they're building and what we're building can work together. And it's paid off. We started off with a basic app that just lets you view your balance and choose your baker. We then added support for ledger devices, first-class NFT support, integrating with DApps via Beacon. It's expanded now. We've started our own NFT project, Mooncakes. So that serves as our kind of test bed. So we work with all these partners, and they'll often say that they want their NFTs to be able to do feature X or feature Y, and it's not supported by any indexers or it's never been done before. We often then have to wait and say, we can do it, but you'll have to give us 3 months to get everybody up to scratch. Yeah. Mooncakes is where we can try to play around with ideas that we have early and get these done and dusted and ready, so that when these partners come in, we have a whole set of functionality that we have ready and waiting for them. We've also tied this into a new Discord bot that we're building that lets projects and users experience all kinds of things with Discord roles. So you'll see it very clearly in the Man United Discord project. Join it, claim an NFT, and then pair your wallet, and then suddenly you'll get all these Discord roles. Once you have these Discord roles, then you're able to access all these giveaways. They've given away prizes to let you walk on the field at the stadium, given away signed jerseys worth quite a bit, as well as other NFTs and many other projects. And that's only been possible because of this kind of work that we're doing with Mooncakes and the wider team to build up this infrastructure.
Excellent. So that leads us up to the recent launch of the beta version of the Kukai phone app, which is, of course, the reason you're here today. Yeah. Obviously, Kukai has been pretty successful in becoming a widely used and successful wallet for storing and staking Tezos assets. So, what was the impetus for moving things forward by developing the Kukai app?
Well, Kukai had always wanted to build a mobile app. That was a goal going back many years. It was blocked for many reasons, funding, staffing, all kinds of things. What happened was I was working for a company called Camel Case that unfortunately lost its funding. Kukai wasn't ready at that point to start developing a mobile app, but a person with the exact experience just became available at that time. Someone who had been working in the space for over a year with a long track record of building iOS apps. So they reached out to me to see, what I'm looking for next. They asked if I'd be interested in not just building an app, but leading the development of it, because at this point they had no designs. They only had loose plans of what they wanted, so they'd need someone to come in and really take charge of what features are in the app, what's the app going to look like, and all these kinds of things. Uh, Based on my past experiences in the corporate world, that's exactly what I was looking for. So we had a lot of discussions. We swapped code. We talked about plans and things that we were looking to do in the future, and it was a great match. So I joined, and once I joined, I can't sit still. So they said, figure out what we need, and I just hit the ground running. Started looking at their code, the way they did things, thinking about what we could do next, how to integrate. They didn't have any tooling for Swift for iOS, so I had to take a look at that, and that was just how we started, and we've just been pushing ever since.
Okay. And you mentioned that a phone app has always sort of been a part of the larger Kukai plan. Now that you've been working on that app and developing that app and the beta version is live, what does the release of the app mean for people who hold Tez and other Tezos assets?
This is the first native app, so this is a big passion of mine, is developing native software. So that means it's very fast, it's very lightweight, much smaller than traditional apps. It's very secure. So iOS devices have a secure enclave. That means that you can generate keys that never leave the device, that no one ever has access to. So that encrypts everything that's stored on the phone, making sure that it can never be touched by anyone else. The app itself borrows designs from other native iOS apps, other apps in the ecosystem, traditional banking apps, where our aim is to try and build something that's very familiar. New users should be able to log into this app and see all the same kind of iOS components and layouts and functionality that they're used to. So onboarding should be a bit easier. People should feel a bit more comfortable putting their money in it because they know how to navigate it, they know how to move around it. We've also tried to reduce the burden on a lot of things like onboarding. So a lot of people, you hear about this wallet, maybe just want to try it, see what it's like as quick as possible. You can log in with social. So just log in with Twitter or Apple ID or Google. You don't need to worry about your seed phrases, your 24 words. Click a button, enter in your Twitter details, and then you're good to go. Excuse me. You get to experience all the app as quick as possible. Sorry, I've lost my place.
That's all right.
Okay.
What kinds of new features will users be able to experience in the beta version of the Kukai phone app?
So one of the cool features that we brought in is sign in with Apple ID. So this is new to Kukai and the Tezos ecosystem. Sign in with Apple ID is quite cool. Apple allow you to sign in anonymously. So you can sign in via social, which traditionally means that you have to share your Twitter ID or your Gmail email address. We can sign in with Apple completely anonymously, so even our partners, Web3 Auth, that are helping us deliver this feature, even they can't see this email address. So you get to log in, experience everything in a completely anonymized fashion, which is what blockchain is all about.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the speed of social, but the anonymity of blockchain that we all expect. We added a feature in this one that will be coming to Kukai Web later on. If you're getting all these airdrops that you don't like, you can now hide the tokens. You can favorite tokens, you can reorder them, so you can see the ones that you care about most always pinned at the top. I did quite a bit of work with AirPlay. So users are getting all of these NFTs that have videos and audio files. Now use AirPlay to stream these with other devices, so you can enjoy them in surround sound or enjoy them on monitors, share them with other people more effectively. What other things do we have? The phone will automatically detect settings, so stuff like your currency will automatically be detected. So those of us who live in Europe can finally get away from seeing dollar signs everywhere. We have all kinds of other things. We've redeveloped the Discover section, so you can see all kinds of new projects, learn more stuff that's going on in the ecosystem. We have a ton of stuff that's kind of half built and disabled for now that users will be getting fairly soon, but those would be kind of the main features you can access right now, as well as obviously the usual stuff of seeing your balances and integrating with the apps.
Well, there's a fair bit there. And are there other, as you transition from the beta version into the full live version, what other features will you be looking at adding as it's launched out into the wild?
The big one that we're looking at the minute is Ledger integration over Bluetooth. So this has been something that a lot of people want, and myself in particular. Ledger, frustratingly, don't provide native SDKs for the work that they do. So it's been quite a challenge. That's why we had to take it out of V1. We really want to get V1 out there. We've made great progress with it, though, and basically only needs the UI left of it. So it will be done quite soon afterwards in V1.1 or 1.2. But that will be one of the major features we want to get out there quickly. After that, AI, adaptive issuance, is coming out soon. We want to build some native stuff. There's a lot of UX challenges around that we want to try and build some nice features for, hopefully some stuff that people have never seen, to try and make it as easy as possible for users. That will, again, hopefully be in 1.1 or 1.2. Beyond that, we want to integrate more dApps. We want to take a look at maybe integrating 3-root natively so people can do swaps straight in the app. We want to look at ways to natively integrate NFT marketplaces to put a bunch of functionality straight in your NFTs. We've integrated Wallet Connect, and they're building a ton of new features around notifications and all these kinds of things that we want to hopefully build on top of. Apple, right at the minute, has their developer conference this week, and they're displaying all the new features and the new APIs and the SDKs that they're adding to iOS 18. So we'll be looking to see if any of those things make sense. There's quite a few things that came in iOS 17 that we're keen to play with that we haven't had a chance to look at yet. We're hoping to really build some new, novel, interesting stuff that people haven't seen before, but there's an awful lot of basics that we want to get right first, unfortunately.
Of course. So, I mean, it sounds like you'll continue to be busy with all of that. Now, the current version of Kukai Web, I believe you mentioned earlier, is V2 of Kukai.
Correct.
Would you consider the phone app to be version 3, or is there more in the works for the larger V3 of Kukai?
So the mobile app is part 1 of V3. So again, as I mentioned before, Kukai revamped itself with the current version, that's V2. Kukai is continuing to do that again. The web page will be updated again with V3 shortly after the iOS app gets into the App Store. I don't know firm dates on that yet. But all of the new functionality that you're seeing in the iOS app, that will all be added to V3. And all the new features that we're planning in the future will also be part of that. And the revamped web page is also going to play a large role in delivering the Android app. which will come shortly after that again. Eventually, in the near future, Kukai will be on every platform.
Okay. And it sounds like you have played a huge role in bringing the Kukai phone app to life. Which aspect of the development of that project are you personally the most proud of?
We've built quite a few features that I'm proud of, and there's a few that aren't available to the users quite yet. But what I'm most proud of is the fact that this is a native app, so everything is written in Swift. There is no tooling built for Swift yet. So everything that's part of the iOS app has been built from the ground up. All the cryptography libraries were rolled by myself. I had to go and read tons of other JavaScript libraries and copy them line by line, piece by piece. A few features we reached out to other teams for. So whenever you're submitting operations to the blockchain, you have to forge it. So we're relying on Taquito for that. But figuring out how to integrate the JavaScript library directly into native Swift was a massive challenge. They really helped me out by building a special version of that library just for me that is compiled a slightly different way so it can be used natively in Swift. A lot of people won't see this, but as part of this app, there's 2 libraries available that are open source to everybody now that have a ton of features that let people use tzkt, the object.com APIs, create wallets, generate seed phrases, tons and tons of stuff. Lots of business logic of how we estimate fees. That's very complicated to do. All this kind of stuff is integrated and available to everybody now as part of this. It was a huge uphill struggle to get this. It was a lot of time and effort, lots of testing, but we got over that, and to see it integrated in the app and everybody testing the app, and not only that it works, but people saying that they love it and that these things are working well and it's fast and it's doing the things they want. That's been the big thing for me to get this done and dusted.
That sounds very satisfying.
It really is. It's been years of work.
So what's the current status of the full live version of the Kukai phone app? When can we expect to see it officially launched?
We don't have a hard date at the minute yet. We are hoping to submit it to the App Store for review in the next 2 weeks. That date can change, and submitting it for review can lead to all sorts of things. Many of the apps that are currently in the ecosystem have been rejected by Apple and took some time to get over that. So we're hopeful in the next kind of 2 to 3 weeks it could be out there in the App Store, but unfortunately, it's a couple of things that are out of our hands at the minute.
Okay. And in the meantime, where and how can those who might be curious be able to experience the beta version of the Kukai phone app for themselves?
The official Kukai Twitter account tweeted out a link to our test flight. So anybody can click that link. Anybody who has an iPhone, iOS 16 or higher, can click that link, sign up. You can sign up anonymously as well. We don't see the email addresses of the vast majority of people. And you can download it via there. There's also some cool features inside Test Flight. Once you've downloaded an app, if you take a screenshot of the app, it will automatically pop up a bubble asking you if you want to submit feedback. So if you see a bug, or even if you see something that you don't like, or you want to ask about a feature, or you want to suggest a feature, you can take a screenshot of the app. You can draw on the app via the iPhone controls. You can circle things, you can highlight things, you can maybe suggest where things are, and then you can submit that to us, and we see those and check those every day.
Very cool. This is all great stuff so far. I'm excited to learn more, but before we dive into the nitty gritty, are you ready for the world famous TezTalks lightning round?
I am. Go ahead.
Great. Just before we do that, I'd like to announce today's keyword for the 25 Tez we're giving away today. Today's keyword is Kukai. That is Kukai. Enter the keyword Kukai below this video on X, and Nightbot will randomly select today's winner, who will announce in the comments below this video on X as well. Okay, now, Simon, it's lightning round time. Remember, there are no wrong answers. This is just for fun, so our viewers can get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
Go for
Cats or dogs?
it. Dogs, I have two.
Pizza or sushi?
Oh, pizza.
Movies or video games?
I am a massive Marvel movie fan, but I'd have to say video games.
Fair. Is this real life or are we in a simulation?
Oh, I think real life is far too strange to be programmed. I think this is real life.
That's fair. True or false? Money buys happiness.
True. Money can buy golden retrievers.
Name one thing you absolutely want to do before you die.
No place specifically, but I want to explore more of the world, particularly places that experience sunshine.
Okay. And to that end, the last place you traveled was?
Outside of Ireland, Lanzarote in the Canary Islands. Within Ireland, viewing wedding venues for next year.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
In 5 words or less, how would your best friend describe you?
Ooh, probably not very politely. Opinionated, nerdy, passionate, and extremely sarcastic.
Perfect. And finally, what is your favorite thing to do on a rainy day?
The same thing I do on non-rainy days, play PlayStation.
Okay. Excellent answers. This concludes the TezTalks lightning round. Let's get back into it. Now that we've spoken about the launch of the Kukai phone apps beta version, I'd like to zoom out a little bit and talk about the state of the Tezos ecosystem and the blockchain world's sort of larger user interface a little more broadly. First off, what's your take on the current state of blockchain technology and its adoption in 2024?
I think adoption hasn't been great. I think in general, not specific to Tezos, blockchain is suffering a lot from UX. I think people that are building blockchain are far too technical and they don't know how to explain complicated process or terms to new users. We're also suffering from maybe the support in the form of tooling. Developers that are very technical often are not the best developers for building UX, and developers that are great for UX are often very not technical. The only way we're going to get better UX is to make it easier to develop apps on top of blockchain. We're going to have to make that gap and those learning curves smaller to get varying kinds of developers with much more varying experiences into the ecosystems. That's needed to really improve the quality of the apps. We're using technical terms that users don't understand. We're not thinking about how users are going to onboard. We also need, I think, stronger use cases. I'm building this app, I'm sharing it with my friends and family, they're downloading it and they're asking, okay, what can I do with it? It's like, hey, my elderly mother, do you want to buy a meme coin? No, she doesn't really, so we need stronger use cases. I'm a big gaming fan, and I think gaming could be a great avenue to help crypto adoption. But I personally am not buying the current trend of play to earn games.
Okay.
Gamers have overwhelmingly expressed that they don't like it. They think it's scammy. They don't like fighting with crypto bots in discords to earn whitelist spots so that they can actually play the game. They don't like having to stake assets and having to be worried about fees and this, that, and the other. We've seen better strategies where we just rely on basically collectibles and NFTs as in-app purchases for free-to-play games. the gaming ecosystem has users spending billions every year, and none of them are expecting any return from that.
Yeah.
None of them are expecting any of these features, but we're obsessed with building games around these features. And I don't think users are biting on that at all. I think we really need to kind of go back to square one and really think about, do we have to put blockchain in every single aspect of what we're doing? Would we be better served with just putting blockchain in the areas that best make sense and sticking with the traditional ways that we do things that users are actively saying that they want and enjoy?
I agree completely with all of that you just said.
Good.
I've often said to people when we're talking about gaming projects, which we see a lot of on the show, that ultimately the question is the game good? People have a certain amount of
Yeah.
time to spend doing stuff. If the game is good, they're going to play it. If it's not, they're probably not going to, right?
Yeah, I'm loving. There's this little game at the minute called Chestnut that does weekly events. Now you do earn stuff from it, so it is play to earn in that sense, but it's not the same kind of mechanic. Every week, every Friday, they hold an event. Currently, they're doing paid events now, so you pay one Tez entry, and you have a chance of earning up to 20 Tez. What you do is you enter this map. There's monsters firing stuff at you. You have arrows. You get to shoot the arrows at the monsters. If you kill the monster, you earn a bit of XTZ based on how much damage you've done. But then it takes a little bit of a twist. PvP mode is turned on. Other people can kill you and steal your Tez. You have to get to a portal and extract and claim the XTZ before you get it. There's no Discord bots. There's no crypto farmers. There's no whitelist bots. There's just a really, really fun game that's quite chaotic. I'm messaging people on Twitter now, challenging them, shit talking, doing all that kind of stuff. I've met people now that I've stolen Tez from, and they've told me to watch out and this kind of stuff. It's great fun, and there's none of that play to earn stuff. And that to me is the type of thing that is Web3 gaming.
Very cool. Now, as somebody who personally got a Kukai wallet as my first ever crypto wallet, I've always personally found it to be pretty intuitive and easy to navigate. And what's also become very clear to me over my years is how important the wallet actually is in terms of user experience in interfacing with these types of technology.
Mhm.
Having said that, I've also seen a lot of people hit roadblocks in their early interactions with blockchain, and then only to abandon the whole thing completely and just go, "Oh, I can't. It's too complicated. I don't get it." Which roadblocks do you think still need to be overcome in the sort of the quest to smooth that journey out and make it easier for people to onboard into the blockchain space?
Um, Onboarding in general is still quite complicated. So the most secure way to onboard is to get a 24-word seed phrase. Again, go back to my family members. They say, "What's this thing you're working on?" You show them, and they get the screen that says, "Here's 24 words. Go get a piece of paper and a pen, write it down, and don't lose it." That's still a very jarring experience for new users to see. Social onboarding helps quite a bit, but that has its own risks if you rely on it too much. If you lose access to your Twitter account, then you lose access to your social login if you try
Mm.
to log in on another phone. So there's pros and cons of each approach. Account abstraction is making headways in certain avenues. I think that might help with a lot of this stuff, that you can kind of use social login as part of your onboarding, but not your whole onboarding. That could kind of help. Um, but again, it kind of goes back to the previous question about use cases. So, I mean, people will put up with complicated processes if you can justify a reason for it. But again, it kind of gets back to, okay, I have to do this complicated thing, but why? What am I doing it for?
Mm.
If you can go to it, say, oh, there's this great game. I have this really awesome rare character that you can use that has a perk. I can send it to you and you can try it out for free and send it back to me and we can share things. If you have those kind of examples, I think people would be willing to put up with this stuff a lot more. But we've seen that, people are much more interested in making a token that you can stake rather than making the game something fun and interesting to play.
Okay. Now, obviously, onboarding new users is an important priority, not just here in Tezos, but across the blockchain space. Um, is attracting new users simply a matter of what you're talking about, which is developing good apps, developing good games, making it enticing for people to come here? Or is there more that we need to be doing to attract people to the blockchain ecosystem?
Yeah, so I don't just kind of build apps on Tezos. I try to be part of the ecosystem. And anytime I see new projects coming in, I always try to join their Discord. I'm a moderator on the Tezos Stack Exchange. I'm also a moderator on the Mooncakes Discord. And I try to join in and not like be an official moderator, but try to help these new projects. I want both these new projects to have a good experience on Tezos, and I want new users who've never seen Tezos before to have good experiences. I also like it because it helps me understand what my users are going to want and the troubles that they're having. And since they don't know my username, they'll often be a little bit more honest and they'll tell me whether my stuff is good or bad, which is also great to see. But I've seen so many issues crop up. Like one, for example, I found so funny. A project announced a new NFT collectible. They marketed it quite well. New users came in and they said, your website says that it costs a token called TEZ. I go to Coinbase and search for Tezos and they only offer me XTZ. Where do I get TEZ? And then they had to explain, oh no, it's the same thing. It just has two names. If you buy it, I promise it's the same. That user was terrified to buy that, thinking it was the wrong thing. But little things like that about really thinking about how our users are actually going to use our project are so simple, just using the terminology that they're used to. A lot of times we might try to use words and phrases that we think are more technically accurate. It is Tez because it's Tezos, but nobody sees that outside of our apps. And when new users come in, that's quite a burden and it's quite scary when you're putting, if you're in an environment where you have limited money and someone's telling you that the thing you're buying has multiple names, that's quite scary for a lot of people. Other kinds of terminologies around, like I remember when I was using dexes for the first time, I mean, my head started spinning as a technical user. I didn't know what unrealized PL, baking, staked, pool, this, that, and the other. I had no idea what this meant. I was looking for the word like profits and loss and up and down. Trying to supply liquidity and I'm being asked to vote. I have no idea what I'm voting for. Do I have to vote? Am I not allowed unless I vote? Who am I voting for? What am I voting for? What's the implications of this? Who's a good person to vote for? We're across the board. We're not explaining these things. We're not helping users.
Yeah.
We have to really just sit down, build something and find a friend who's never seen crypto and ask them to use your project. You'll have your eye opened to things that you wouldn't have even thought of before.
Yeah.
And we really need to up our game in explaining these things in tutorials and holding the user's hand through the process, not just giving them all the buttons and expecting them to figure it out.
And there's a large amount of crossover between what you're describing and user experience, right?
Correct.
And obviously, in terms of your role right now, you have significant amount of input into user experience when it comes to the Kukai wallet and the Kukai app and the connection between those two things. Now, as we sort of move forward, do you think that the wallet will remain the sort of the cornerstone of the blockchain user interface moving forward, or do you think something else will sort of come along to replace it in that regard?
I think so, and obviously as a wallet developer, I hope so. I've seen a lot of other projects, particularly around the gaming space on other chains, where they're trying to kind of build these embedded wallets where you sign up for the game and you get this new wallet. That has some strengths in onboarding users who are new to crypto, and I know that that's definitely what all the product managers behind that are pushing for. That's really great until I, as a user, want to play a second game, and now I have a second wallet, and a third game, and a third wallet, and a fourth game, and a fourth wallet. I have 100 games on PlayStation, and I have one PSN wallet.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine what life would have been like if I have to have a wallet for Assassin's Creed, a wallet for Helldivers, a wallet for this, and a wallet for that. I think those kinds of processes are great short term and are bad long term. And I think users will eventually be pushed towards wallets. Particularly, again, one of the ideas is new users can get a new wallet and then they can onboard with a credit card. But wallet users that are already onboarded to the ecosystem who have funds, I'm logging in, I'm getting a new wallet, and now I have to go fund it by going to my current wallet anyway and sending funds to this new wallet. Why couldn't I just log in with the existing wallet I already had? So I think there's a lot of downsides to that longer term, and time will tell, but I don't think it's going to pan out the way people are hoping.
Okay. And with all of that in mind, what's your vision for the future of Kukai? Like, where is all of this? Where are things headed from here, from your end?
I mean, for the iOS app, we have tons and tons of features that we're planning. For Kukai in general, we've done a little bit of work with a whole bunch of things that we'll be supporting in the future. We'll be bringing dynamic metadata to NFTs. I mentioned account abstraction earlier. We'll be doing some work around that. We've looked briefly at identity, so importing like government IDs and that kind of thing. Smart notifications. Wallet Connect is building an entire push notification layer. We're looking to integrate that in the future. We have a project called Kukai Embed. Users will see it if you go to like Manchester United. You'll be greeted with a page that says they log in with Twitter or Facebook. That is Kukai. It's a mini Kukai. If you log in with Twitter on Kukai, you'll get the same address. We have plans to expand that to allow other kinds of teams to integrate it, add new functionality to it. New ways of integrating with DApps. We've tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. We have, I think our current backlog is multiple years worth of work at the minute, and that's ignoring what's going to come out in future protocols.
Okay. And it sounds like you could go on, and I also could go on, but unfortunately we're coming to the end here. Before we close off, I'd like to remind our viewers that we're giving away 25 Tez today. To enter, just type the keyword Kukai, Kuki, into the comments below this video on X. For those who miss out today, we remind you there are awesome giveaways to be found frequently here on TezTalks Live, so keep tuning in. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our social media contacts can be found at tezoscommons.org/TezTalks. We'd love to hear from you. Simon, thanks so much for joining us today. It's always awesome to speak to the folks bringing cool new Tezos user interfaces like the Kukai phone app to life and helping Tezos claim its rightful place at the forefront of the blockchain revolution. Is there anything else you'd like to mention before we sign off here?
Thanks for having me, first of all. It was great. This has been my first podcast, so it's been a great experience.
You did a fantastic job.
In future for people, I'm trying to tweet as much as this stuff as I can. Yesterday, I tweeted out a little kind of snapshot of what the testing framework is like for building these kind of apps. If anybody is interested in this kind of stuff, feel free to follow. But most importantly, feedback. I want to know what people think about it, good, bad, or ugly. I want to hear what features you want. I want to hear what doesn't work. Please tell me what you really think, and I'll do my best to fix it and make Kukai as the best wallet I can.
Sounds good to me. To everyone out there in Tezos land, thanks for joining us on TezTalks Live. I'm Stu from the Tezos Commons, and our awesome guest has been Simon McLoughlin, mobile lead at Kukai. Now let's go experience the Kukai phone app.